How to bake bread, bulk style. Brad at Grit DIY. I'm going to show you how I make bulk levels of bread. Simple, fast, and pretty darn good. The stuff I use: flour, yeast, sugar, little Pam, oil, salt, 3 bowls. I make batches of 3 in 3 loaf pans. That's it. 5 ingredients, a little bit of time, and in the end, a loaf of bread for about 60 cents. Now the way I make my bread: 1 5/8 cup of warm water, 1 teaspoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of yeast, dash of salt, 4 1/4 cups of flour. That's it. Nothing flashy, very simple, bulk bread. I'll show you how I mix it up. I don't use an electric mixer, mix it by hand. I'll show you how I do that. Now I've added 1 5/8 cup of warm water to the bowls, 1 teaspoon of yeast, and I'm not exact, I just wing it. As long as it's close. 1 teaspoon of sugar, that's all. You have to use it in order to get that yeast to do its thing. A pinch of salt. You can avoid it if you want. 1 aggressive tablespoon of canola oil. And that's it. I'm going to add 4 1/4 cups of flour. I just mix this by hand because I bake 3 at a time. I'll end up doing about 24 loaves, and it's much faster for me to just mix it by hand. Now, if I'm not recording, I can do all of this in about 10 minutes. So I'm just going to dump a 1/4 cup in each. And if you go over, you're going to realize that you put too much flour in, and you have to pick it. You have to catch it immediately before you mix. Just try to level it off. I'm not going to get precise here. And sometimes I use 50-pound bags depending on where I'm shopping. And I'm going to put 4 cups in each bowl, and then I'll mix it. 1, 2. I just level off the best I can. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I said, the small one just never ever mixes. And all I do is just stir it up. And you want to try to compact it. In other words, you want to try to put this in a ball the best you can without dislocating your shoulder. And what I do is I just ball it up, and then I just squish it. If it's too wet, sprinkle it with a little more flour, and you'll know, because your fingers will be covered with flour. For example, it's real wet right there, and see how it sticks to me? But all you got to do, you'll have some residual in there. Just turn it in here and spin it around, press, and turn it over, and keep doing this. And this is stage 1. Then I just do that. That's a preliminary. I'll pull that out, throw it onto a plastic board, and then I'll knead it for a short period of time. And trust me, flour is going to go everywhere. You're going to have a bit of a cleanup, but that's a low cost to pay. Now, I figured it cost about 65 cents to do a loaf of bread. You can do the economics. If you eat a lot of bread, then you can see why it just makes sense to do it yourself. And it's not that big of a deal. It's just, it takes a long time. It's just a slow process. You have to let it rise twice. In this, I can, as I said, I can generally do in 10 minutes. I've already baked a couple loaves earlier. So I have bread cooling, I have bread in the oven rising, and then I have this batch in the works. So I generally have 3 things going on at once. Now you see, the idea is to keep pressing until you get this loose flour all together. And as I said, if it's too dry, then you need to add water, but you need to keep working this in, and you need to work all of this in and just keep pressing down, turn it over, keep pressing it, and that's it. You can just work it in. Now this has a little bit too, this is tough. In other words, there's not enough water or I put too much flour in here. It's still workable, but you have to put a little more effort into it. And then it's much easier with this bigger bowl. I would suggest you use a large stainless steel bowl. Just makes life easier. Flour doesn't go everywhere. I'm just mixing it in. And you're trying to just bring all this together into a ball. You can see it takes about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. That's pretty much it. I'm going to put this into a ball. Then I'll knead it. Then we'll just let it set. All I'm doing is trying to put it into a ball. And then I'm pressing down. You can see there's stuff underneath. I just mix it in. It's pretty simple. As I said, it only takes about 10 minutes. If you're a baker, I know you're going to have your comments. That's fine. This is the way I do it. Only because I don't really care about fancy bread. I've done it in the past, and it takes too much time. I'll knead it. And they say you'll know it has a consistency of your earlobe. Yeah, I've never figured that one out, but you'll know. And I just roll it. If it's real sticky, just dust it with a little bit of flour. If it's real hard, well, it's a lesson learned. Either add a dash more water or a little less flour. That's all. You're working with 4 ingredients here. 5 ingredients. And a little bit of time. That's it. And sometimes it looks like this. That's fine. It'll come out okay in the end. Depending on how warm it is, I'll let this sit for, well, I have to coordinate it with what I'm baking. So this may set for 30 or 40 minutes. All depends on how quick the other stuff rises. And I just cover it with these tin pans, and that's it. So it's just a matter of letting it rise, rotating, and wash, rinse, repeat. Now I just pulled a batch of bread out of the oven. The oven's still hot. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw these I'm gonna release all the air out of this. I'm gonna knead it. Like here, that's what I just did. And I'm gonna throw them all back into the oven that's turned off. I've got the oven door open and it's releasing the heat. In order to speed this up, I want this dough to rise a little faster. So I just throw it in the oven. It just makes the entire process so much quicker. And why do I throw it against the border? Like I said, I want all the air out of this. And all I do is, that's all I do. I'm not gonna spend any more time on this. And I just press it down. See if I can do this without dropping it. And I just throw it in here, and it's warm. I said this door has been open. And I just let it preheat, or just try to warm it up in order to get this thing to, get this bread to rise a lot faster. Otherwise it would take me 2 days to get this done. Anyway, now to speed up the entire bake process, the preheated oven, after baking, I throw in the next batch. It's about 250 degrees when I put this back in to allow it to rise. I don't want to wait a couple hours between batches. So I throw this in, let it rise. This is the level that I'm going to take it out. I'm going to heat the oven to 380 degrees. And I bake this for 30 minutes. That's the pre-bake. It will rise for another 10 minutes or so as I preheat the oven. Fresh out of the oven. I'm going to dump them out now and let them cool. And then I will just continue this. It's critical that spray this thing so it doesn't stick. You can see right there it's stuck, especially these glass. I use Pam. Here's the finished product. What I do is I'm going to put them in plastic bags. Generally they're Home Depot. They work great. I throw them in my freezer, and the frozen bread turns out perfect. Now, if you like this kind of stuff, give me a like, subscribe, tell your friends, give me a thumbs up. Brad Williams, Grit DIY. I hope that helped. Thanks for watching. See you soon.